Mark, when did you start to think about this project, and in particular about yurt? So when and where is coming from the idea?
I kind of see them as sculptural entities as opposed to just sculptures. They're kind of like, they've got agency in a sense in this world that's been built for them. And the first, this current piece that we're in, this is yurt. It's like a temple for transhumanists. But its first iteration, this is basically version 5 of a sculpture that begun in 2009 in an exhibition in the Lab in Dublin, where these radial pieces, they were stood up straight. They were standing straight, and they had 2 fluorescent bulbs, and they were kind of in a kind of an arc that went around you. So you stood into this, and it was like kind of mocking the idea of going through a transporter, like in Star Trek or something like that. And then the next room that you went into was completely dark, so you would see the after image of the lights. And then it progressed. To know where Betty does open up the new terrain, as you say,
exactly.
In terms of like it's a sculpture. Very clearly, it's a sculpture, but it's also a haptic, playable sculpture where the points, the copper. This is again is like a piece of infrastructure, like this, a pipe. This is a manhole pipe for a shaft, and again, it's been coated in copper tape in a very painstakingly slow process. But it allows it to be conductive. I see this as a cybernetic worm deity, and it's relating back to a Celtic worm god, Crom Cruach, who was established as a worm god by the comic book 2000 AD in a Celtic storyline called Sláine. And I found that quite interesting. Like, I mean, St. Patrick was supposed to have like destroyed the one effigy of Crom Cruach with a sledgehammer. It was basically just a rounded mound of stone that came up out of the ground. So he was kind of like a mysterious earth deity, and to be drawn then as a worm god is quite interesting. At the time, like worms would have been considered quite repulsive, like, you know, but the importance of worms is obviously has come to the fore a lot more, like in terms of like sustainability and environment and creating the soil that like feeds us, you know. So this is like off the ground, and it's something that's kind of lateral in that worms are across the whole world, you know. Every landscape needs them to create kind of fertility, and the idea is that we create this performance where we awaken this like cybernetic deity, and then it attacks the yurt. This temple of light, this idea of like verticality, of like, you know, vertical capital, and like, you know, getting thinner and thinner and thinner and taller and taller, and more removed from the ground and society at large.